since 2004. My area of research is natural language processing and information retrieval, so I'm a computer scientist, I'm a geek. A notable fact about me is from 2010 to 2012, I spent an extended sabbatical at Twitter, and so this is what I like to tell my colleagues. I came out of the ivory tower onto the factory floor, and for a couple of years, worked on building shit that works. And so when I was at Twitter, I worked on big data analytics infrastructure, search, recommendations, a whole bunch of other products. I had a wild ride. It was a great time there, but alas, all good things must come to an end, and I came back. And so I returned to university in 2012. And so since I've been back, I've been thinking about how I could leverage my big data experience and expertise to problems in digital preservation, cultural heritage, etc. And I wanted to share with you some of my thoughts. So the problem I've been thinking about the last couple of years is this, what I call sort of the paradox of web archiving. So on the one hand, we can all agree that web archives are an important part of our cultural heritage. We have to keep this stuff, right? But on the other hand, they're really vastly underused. And so I've been exploring why, right? So surely, things like restrictive access regimes have something to do with it, but I think the problem is a little bit deeper. And so to me, this is sort of like a chicken and egg problem, right? So on the one hand, users can't do that much with web archives currently, although my colleagues are certainly fixing that. But on the other hand, it's hard to develop tools. So as a computer scientist, as a tool builder, I look around and I want to build tools that fulfill needs. And so what are the needs? And so I think this is a chicken and egg problem. Well, to get around it, I think this is really what we need. We need these deep collaborations between users, such as archivists, journalists, historians, digital humanists on the one hand, and technologists, geeks like me and my colleagues. And so the thing I've been trying to tackle is with this goal to build tools to support exploration and discovery in web archives. Right? So to think about going beyond browsing, even going beyond full text searching, and what really is the next step. And to do this, I've been focusing on the infrastructure, me being a computer scientist and a big data person. And so the two technologies I've been working with are Hadoop and HBase respectively. So if you're not already familiar with this, Hadoop is the open source implementation of Google's MapReduce framework, which is what they use for petabyte scale analysis. The open source implementation Hadoop is rapidly and widely adopted today, used in everywhere from Amazon, Yahoo, Facebook, Twitter, lots of other companies. HBase, on the other hand, is an open source implementation of Google's Bigtable, and Bigtable is what powers Gmail, Google Maps, and a whole bunch of other services. And so what I've been thinking about is how to use these open source technologies in the service of web archiving. All right. And so what my students and I have been working on for about the last year or so is something called Workbase, which is an open source platform for managing web archives built on top of Hadoop and HBase. And it's hosted on GitHub. You can just go to workbase.org and check out the repo. Okay. So let me walk you through a little bit of sort of how Workbase works. So we're explicitly setting aside the content ingestion, content gathering and curation in the metadata process. So we simply assume that you've gathered a bunch of work files, perhaps using the IA's archive and service or something like that. You ingest it using into HBase, and you would use Hadoop MapReduce to do a lot of the analytics and processing, and on top of HBase you would build applications that provide useful capabilities. And I'll show you a few of those sample applications that we've been working on. So I'm also often asked about the problem of scalability, and for this my simple response is in the immortal words of the poet Jay-Z, we got 99 problems but scalability ain't one. So with respect to Hadoop and HBase, this is sort of proven technology, open source technology that has proven itself in industry. So interesting statistic is Facebook operates Hadoop clusters over 100 or 200 petabytes and still rapidly growing, and it's able to handle and scale to those volumes. All right, and so let me, for the next few minutes, show you some of the applications and services we've built upon this infrastructure. So the first, the data set that we've been working with is a sample data set from the US Congressional Archives, and thanks to a partnership with LC on this. So it's from the 108th Congress from 2003 to 2005. About a little bit over a terabyte, so it's still relatively small, but sort of enough to get started. And our own Hadoop cluster at the University of Maryland is relatively small, so 16 nodes, but it's also enough to serve as an interesting experimental platform. All right, so the first application we can build on top of it is what I'm calling the work-based browser, which provides Wayback Machine functionality. So it's simply implemented as a Jetty service. It serves as a lightweight H-based client and reuses a lot of the Wayback code for rendering. And so you can go back and see, what Senator Clinton's website looked like in 2013. And here's an interesting one. Do you guys recognize who this is? So this is John Boehner, who was the chair of the Committee on Education and Workforce back then. So he looked a lot younger, but just as orange. Okay, you guys get that joke. All right. So the second application, which is I think interesting, is we built upon this as a topic model explorer. And so the implementation is we take each slice of the work archive and apply topic modeling techniques on it, specifically latent diversity allocation, and then adapt a pre-existing visualization called Termite to show you and visualize for you the topics in that particular time slice. So we're able to come up with a display that looks like this. This shows the term topic distribution. And so you're able to see, for example, the terms that are most prominent across topics. You can sort of scan down the rows with topic 2 and find out, oh, that's a topic about education. You can scan down the rows in column 5 and say, oh, this must be something about national security. You see the highlighted terms down at the bottom. And so this sort of serves as a nice entry point for you to figure out, what's in the archive, what are the topics being discussed using this topic modeling technique. The final application I'm going to show you is the Web Graph Explorer. So the implementation is this. So we use Hadoop to do link extraction, thank you, do site-level aggregation, and compute various graph statistics like PageRank, and then throw it up on interactive visualizations using the D3 visualization toolkit. And then we're able to come up with something like this. Let me walk you through this. So you can think of this as social network analysis on Congress. So the links here are formed by site linkage patterns. So there's a link between the nodes if a site links to another. Right? So you have the typical coloring scheme of Democrats in blue, Republicans in red. The House is on your left, the lighter colors, and the Senate is on your right, the lighter color, the darker colors. And so right off the bat, you see a very nice clustering between the House members on the one hand and the Senate members on the other hand. I should also explain the size of the node is proportional to its PageRank, and the gray nodes are committees. Right? And so this is an interactive visualization. I'm happy to show you a demo offline, but you can click on a link and say, oh, I want to explore what's that node that seems to be a bridge between them, and you can find out that this is Larry McRae. You can mouse over and find, here's the House Committee on Ways and Means, which has a lot of links to and from its members. So this kind of all makes sense. But this serves, once again, as an entry point into a browsing interface to let you figure out what's in your archive. All right. So to wrap things up, again, I come back to this point. In order to move forward, we need a deep collaboration, these deep integrated collaborations between users on the one hand and technologists on the other hand. And I think Workbase is a nice first step. And so one of the things I've basically done is build a nice hammer, and I'm looking for proactively partners to go out and collaborate with. So if you're interested in trying out this technology to figure out what's in your web archives, come talk to me. I'll be around. Okay, thank you.